Big Herc 916, positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know how we do it over here. Go to bigherc916.com, hit me up for some original art, or you can get your art commissioned and I'll draw you or paint you a special piece, or you can pick up some merch or grab a bar of soap and wash your ass. Yeah, man. Hit that subscribe, hit that like button. You know, I'm over here lacing you guys up. Story time with Big Herc. You know, I was just talking with my wife and I was saying, if you're a parent and you've taught your kids just to get by, you've already set them up for failure. Think about that mentality. Oh, I'm just trying to get by. Oh, as long as I can pay my bills. Oh, I'm not really trying to make that much. I don't really need that. That's a conditioning, man. That's a slave, fiefdom, serfdom mentality to keep you in a glass box, not striving to really realize your maximum potential while you're here on this planet. Everybody's here. If you survived not getting aborted or some type of, ailment or issue, and you made it to being alive and healthy, and you can hear this video, you have a special purpose, man. And it's not just to get by. It's not to go to McDonald's or work for some business for somebody else and just, wait till you retire and get Social Security. That's not your purpose in life. God has given you something, but because you're a mental slave, you'll never tap into it. You should be telling your kid every day, you're going to be great. You're going to be a multimillionaire. You're going to be a billionaire. Even if they don't reach billionaire status, you should instill in them that they can conquer the world. And I'm not saying, oh, it's all about materialism. I'm saying money is energy. Don't look at it as like evil. That's what they want to teach you. So you got money, you're evil. You're bad. You're wrong. Money is great. Money is a resource. Money is energy. Money is freedom. Money is access. Money gets you things that you need to get further in life and help other people. If you're broke, can't nobody help you. You can't help nobody. You have money, you can help people. You can change things. You can make a difference. So if you're proud to be broke, man, I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm going to tap back into Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I've been reading this book for the last couple of days, and man, I first came across this book in prison. And somebody put me up on this, and it was mind-blowing. It was this book. There was a couple other books that I read that when you read them, you read the book and you set it down and you just like put your head back and you think, man, I've been played. I felt like an asshole, like an idiot for robbing a bank after I read about how money really works, how I read about the law, how it really works, when I picked up a Black's Law Dictionary, when I started reading all these congressional acts and all these old basically treaties and things that United States was involved in with England. When I started reading all that stuff, Creature on Jekyll Island, about the Bilderberg Society, the Trilateral Commission, I was like, man, I was playing the idiot game, robbing a bank with a gun, bro. Don't know real gangsters even use guns. They move paper. These guys are moving paper, man, and they're making more moves than you could imagine off of paper. A gun, you can't bring a gun into court. It's paper. Paper moves things. Paper Paper ends wars. Guns are just a byproduct. Having people run up and troops shoot each other. The real guys, what do? At the end of the war, they sign a piece of paper, a declaration, a document. It's paper. Paper is the key. Reading a book. When I used to go to a law library and I would come back from the law library after yard recall and I would see everybody in front of the TV. And you know what they were watching? Cops. Cops or sports. Train to oblige. Obedient. Gangsters turned obedient. I was like, what's the power of that? Why isn't everybody else questioning this? Because they said that you have to go, you just do the time, you just sit down and do 20 years, you don't question it. You never, some guys have never looked up the statutes on their case. They don't even know what USC stands for. They don't know that stands for United States Code. They don't know that CFR stands for Code of Federal Regulations. They don't even know what the civil rules of procedure are, the federal rules of civil procedure are. They don't even know what that means. How crazy is that? But they can cut dope. They can measure drugs. Man, they said, if you want to hide it, put it in a book. Put it in a book. Let me read a little excerpt for you guys. Apparent capital as paper inductor. In this structure, credit presented as pure circuit element called currency has the appearance of capital, but is in fact negative capital. Hence, it has the appearance of service, but is in fact indebtedness or debt. It is therefore an economic inductance instead of an economic capacitance, and if balanced in no other way, will be balanced by the negation of population, war, and genocide. Didn't I just talk about war and paper? The total goods and services represents real capital called the gross national product, and currency may be printed up to this level and still represent economic capacitance. But currency printed beyond this level is subtractive, represents the introduction of economic inductance, and constitutes notes of indebtedness. War is therefore the balancing of the system by killing the true creditors, the public, which we have taught to exchange true value for inflated currency, and falling back on whatever is left of the resources of nature and the regeneration of those resources. Mr. Rothschild had discovered that currency gave him the power to rearrange the economic structure to his own advantage, to shift economic inductance to those economic positions which would encourage the greatest economic instability and oscillation. Excuse me, I probably mispronounced that word. It's kind of cut off at the end. The final key to economic control had to wait until there was sufficient data and high-speed computing equipment to keep close watch on the economic oscillations created by price shocking and excess paper energy credits, paper inductance / inflation. Breakthrough. The aviation field provided the greatest evolution in economic engineering by the way of mathematical theory of shock testing. In this process, a projectile is fired from an airframe on the ground, and the impulse of the recoil is monitored by vibration transducers connected to the airframe and wired to chart recorders. By studying the echoes or reflections of the recoil impulse in the airframe, it is possible to discover critical vibrations in the structure of the airframe, which either vibration of the engine or aileron vibrations of the wings or the combination of the two might reinforce, resulting in resonant self-destruction of the airframe in flight as an aircraft. From the standpoint of engineering, this means that the strengths and weaknesses of the structure of the airframe in terms of vibrational energy can be discovered and manipulated. Application in economics. To use this method of airframe shock testing in economic engineering, the prices of commodities are shocked and the public consumer reaction is monitored. The resulting echoes of the economic shock are interpreted theoretically by computers, and the psychoeconomic structure of the economy is thus discovered. It is by this process that partial differential and difference matrices are discovered that define the family household and make possible its evaluation as an economic industry, dissipative consumer constructure, dissipative consumer structure. Then the response of the household to the future shocks can be predicted and manipulated, and society becomes a well-regulated animal with its reins under the control of a sophisticated computer-regulated social energy bookkeeping system. Eventually, every individual element of the structure comes under computer control through a knowledge of personal preferences. Such knowledge guaranteed by Computer Association of Consumer Preferences, Universal Product Code, UPC. It says, I think, zebra stripe pricing codes on packages with identified consumers, identified via association with the use of credit card, and later a permanent tattooed body number invisible under normal ambient illumination. Summary. Economics is only a social extension of a natural energy system. It also has its three passive components. Because of the distribution of wealth and a lack of communication and consequent lack of data, this field has been the last energy field for which knowledge of these three passive components has been developed. Since energy is the key to all activity on the face of the earth, it follows that in order to attain a monopoly of energy, raw materials, goods, and services, and to establish a world system of slave labor, it is necessary to have a first strike capability in the field of economics. In order to maintain our position, it is necessary that we have absolute first knowledge of the science of control over all economic factors and the first experience at engineering the world economy. In order to achieve such sovereignty, we must at least achieve this one end, that the public will not make either the logical or mathematical connection between economics and the other energy sciences, or learn to apply such knowledge. This is becoming increasingly difficult to control because more and more businesses are making demands upon their computer programmers to create and apply mathematical models for the management of those businesses. It is only a matter of time before the new breed of private programmer economists will catch on to the far-reaching implications of the work begun at Harvard in 1948. The speed with which they can communicate their warning to the public will largely depend upon how effective we have been at controlling the media, subverting education, and keeping the public distracted with matters of no real importance. Oh man, that's savage. That's savage right there. That's beast mode type shit. And you got guys talking about they rapping and talking about they trapping and all. Man, this is trapping right here. This right here, and you sit back and you think like, man, have you been getting played? You remember the toilet paper rush? You remember they said they had no coins? They wanted you to give exact change or use your card? Do you remember lines in a grocery store? You can only get 2 pieces of meat. Man, bro, they did a cold test. I told you, man, the same shit they do in prison, they do on the street, and they ran a cold. They talk about it right there. It's right here. They talk about it. Dude, this book was written 70 years ago. Oh, man, they were doing this in 1948. Studying the psychology of purchasing, people's behavior, testing how people would react to certain economic conditions. And now what do you have? All these different social media outlets, feeding you all this nonsense. And then you got these people who talk about different things like who cares who's cheating on who's doing this and this person's relationship and this. That's all part of the game. Who cares about this guy, if he dunked on this dude and, I don't mind watching somebody get dunked on or this guy run for 200 yards, but dude, I don't need to know that guy's personal. That's not my life. I got to worry about what's going on in my household with me and my wife. Take care of mine. They want you to be involved in there so they can keep you under the stupidity umbrella. The more knowledge you'll have, the more you can free your mind to think. I'm not trying to promote legal advice or try to tell you how to go about, carrying on your lawful daily duties. No, man, I'm not trying to tell you any of that. I'm not trying to, point out what's, should be considered right or wrong. I'm just sharing information so that you can reflect and think about how you've been conducting yourself and the education you received and what you tell your kids, what you share with your family, the conversations you engage in. One thing I learned when, I was locked up is that in order for me to change, I had to refrain from engaging in ignorant conversation. So I didn't spend my time walking the track or talking about things that were of low frequency that got me into prison. I was only talking about things that were of higher consciousness so that I could rehabilitate myself and elevate my level of thinking. And as a result, I got, ostracized. A lot of dudes didn't like me. Dudes, oh man, you're funny style, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't care. I stayed in the law library. I talked to a lot of guys that, I could learn from. I got around people that were smarter than me. I always wanted to be around somebody that was smarter than me so that I can listen, pick up on some game. I wasn't trying to talk about like, just the bullshit. And on the streets now, a lot of times I'm, by myself. Less is more. Me and my wife. I don't have time to engage in stupid ass conversation. I watch some car stuff. I'm into that. Every now and then I look at something here and there, but I don't have time to fill my brain with ignorance. I've refrained from that. I've stopped. I cut all that back, man. Certain music I don't listen to anymore. A lot of things. It's just I don't need to lower my frequency. I need to elevate it. And things that vibrate on a certain level will attract a certain type of energy. They're telling you right here in this book, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. Story time with Big Herc 916. Hit that subscribe and like button. Merry Christmas from Big Herc 916. Don't get on Santa's naughty list. Go to BigHerc916.com and wash your ass. Pick you up a bar of soap so you can make somebody's holiday wishes come true. I didn't start off as a bad kid. Officially, I only got one real spanking my entire life. My mom did the best a 14-year-old could do, raising me with love and instilling values that will last a lifetime. I was a straight A student and lived to make her happy. So how did I go astray? A horrible stepdad that stole my self-worth and invoked fear turned me into a person that I struggled to overcome. From skateboarding to selling drugs, gang banging in juvenile hall, I got caught the same way many young promising men get caught up. I struggled to find my identity, getting mixed up in shootouts, crime, and the adult entertainment industry. This roller coaster continued as I juggled college, hustling, and Hollywood, eventually catching a federal bank robbery case. I found redemption in prison while serving a 120-month federal sentence and came out a man on a mission. I became a social media influencer with over 500 million views on YouTube and a life coach mentoring people all over the world. This is my journey against all odds.